Good morning, I am Adam Harris, and this is The Day Ahead. Don't forget to click subscribe below to receive daily market analysis videos and important alerts. On the economic calendar for today, there will be increased caution around today's BOE rate news, with Governor Carneys speaking shortly after from midday onwards. Currencies are offering fewer strong trends, but a stronger US dollar is still on the cards. In the comms, traders wait for clearer entries on gold, and in the global indices and equities in focus, as the trends continue to creep up, the bulls wait for sensible re-entry opportunities. You can jump to any chapter by clicking on the time link in the description below. Starting off with the currencies, this is the US dollar index, having yesterday broken solidly through that 96 level. So today I am still anticipating it will continue to strengthen, which actually means that if we have a look at euro versus the US dollar, it makes more sense for the euro today to actually continue to head lower. Also, it's still within this overall range-like behavior. It may do some temporary short-term retracements before continuing lower, but I am anticipating a weaker euro, stronger US dollar. Now, just I'm going to be very cautious today around midday through from 12 through till 12:30. The Bank of England has a large amount of economic calendar news related to interest rates as well so that kind of news is going to be very high impact, and I'm going to be super cautious around that. Noting that cable did not find support at 1.3, fell through that pretty much like hot butter, coming back down to the first Fibonacci level 382, just in terms of that being a weekly retracement, as well as a level of support closer to 1.29. So what I will be looking for, which will be interesting to see if we ultimately end up by tomorrow morning, a strong bullish candle which might provide swing low support. So I'll be looking for that. Ultimately, what could happen is the price knocks through and heads down to a lower level. So be prepared for that, but increased volatility today from midday potentially through to the early afternoon. New on my list today is EuroCAD. So EuroCAD's retracing back up into two levels of support. I'll be looking here to see support and resistance. I'll be looking here to see if I get a bearish candle by tomorrow morning, looking for a potential swing high if this trend is going to resume to the downside. No change on Australian dollar against the US dollar. This is that weekly chart where a lot of bullish divergence on the indicators here, which usually means that we get a sideways consolidation or a change in direction. And I'm still looking to see if we can break it back up above that 0.73 level and hit a little bit higher. There's no real change there, so nothing of significance to mention. And Aussie Kiwi, although it did fall through that level prematurely yesterday, and I was looking forward to see if it found any resistance on the lower time frames for swing highs, it ultimately just came straight back over the line. And so again, nothing of any real news here. It's still finding support at that 1.0450 level, and I'll keep an eye on it going forwards, but there's no rush on this one either. In the commodities on the move, I'm having a look at gold here. So what I was waiting for was to see if we did get a bullish candle. We did. It ultimately has not triggered. Prices continue down, so that's fine. We've had some bearish divergence for a while, and a deeper retracement is perfectly healthy. Just overlaying a fib here on the daily from the most recent swing low, very neatly overlaps the 618 retracement back up to level of resistance. So from a Fibonacci level, this makes a lot of sense, but anywhere in this area, actually certainly anywhere between the 302 and the 618 with any really strong bullish candles would be potential swing trading opportunities to the upside there. A deeper retracement is perfectly welcome if it's going to prepare it for a longer move to the upside. Just highlighting that. Also here, if I look at silver, for example, that's pulled all the way back down as well, and coming into its real first level of support and resistance. But it can also go a little bit further if we're looking from a weekly or monthly swing on the Fibonacci as well. Back down to a 382 would put it closer towards that 1530 mark. And if it does come a little bit deeper there and retrace a little bit deeper and find support, that's also acceptable. But from where it is now, I'll be looking for those bullish setups. There just aren't any as of this morning. Now, palladium continues to head up high. It's going to encounter some resistance at 1360, and if it manages to push through that, 1400 is going to be a strong wall for it. For the most part, it is looking relatively healthy here. Let's see if we can get this above 1360 today. Then having a look at crude oil. So crude oil is not very, very bullish. It's certainly trying to set up to go long. It's broken through a level of resistance, produced a bullish candle, so there may well be a swing entry long for myself here. Looking at this, what I do like about this, what I'm not comfortable with is it's not very, very bullish, but what I do like about it is the additional stop loss protection. If I am looking to place my stop loss below this level of support and resistance, as well as this previous level here of support and resistance, I've got additional technical stop loss protection, and principally looking for price here to head on a little bit higher. So I'll see how the candle closes out for the day and then revisit that and see how it is tomorrow morning as well. gas, oil as well, bringing that on. That now actually still trying to do a similar thing and find support at its previous level of resistance. Relatively happy with this, so may take a swing long position on this as price attempts to climb a little bit higher, looking a little bit more bullish than bearish. And that's it on commodities for today. The global indices continue to look nice and bullish, some nice healthy trends, starting a potential retracement. Again, I'll be looking for pullbacks, retracements and pullbacks into the moving averages here and looking for small bullish candles similar to previous moves here and looking for entries to go long, just monitoring the momentum indicators to see if we're starting to lose momentum. This is actually going to be identical for the US indices, S&P, NASDAQ, all very, very similar behavior on the daily time frame, but looking for those retracements back into the moving averages. Still happy with the trend. We'll keep an eye on that for entry opportunities. Now, the UK 100, of course, keeping in mind today's news around midday, but actually any retracements back down on the daily to this recent level of resistance also puts me close to that 382 retracement, so that's a nice, healthy, happy retracement back into that area would be nice. Looking for long entries there, and then similar Germany, as the US charts all look the same. Germany also looks quite similar to Hong Kong in terms of its the Hang Seng in terms of its behavior. This putting into level of support. So actually today on these charts, I might find a bullish candle there setting up as a swing long, and then Australia looking kind of similar to the UK 100. Big move to the upside. I'm looking for a retracement at some point in the future back down to test this level of resistance for support, and I'll be looking for long entries there. So for the moment, it really is preparing for long entries at some and keeping an eye on those momentum indicators to see if the markets are starting to become a bit exhausted. With the equities in focus, my approach is going to be very similar to the indices. Wherever they're trending very nicely, I'm looking for retracements into the moving averages and that buy zone and looking for long entries there. It's very similar across the board. Amazon has now started to consolidate a little bit, expecting a bit of a move on that as well, similar to how Apple was doing that before. Netflix encountering resistance at 360. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. There will be pullbacks down into the moving averages, but it just makes me very cautious, making sure that if I do take a setup, I've got to be sure to take profit ahead of this level, and ultimately there may well be a breakout. The next one that I quite like the look of is EasyJet. Just recapping on yesterday, there was a potential long entry yesterday, and indeed it has headed off, so that's looking good. And so really across the board, most of these looking nice and bullish as well. What did I see as well? BP, I was quite liking the look of this. So generally speaking, my approach is going to be waiting for those pullbacks into the moving averages, but also highlighting here this gap up on BP. So these charts all generally looking nice and bullish, and it's the first time in a very, very long time that we've had this agreement between the more bearish equities and the historically bullish ones. So it's a very, very good sign for me, and I'm quite enthusiastic, certainly for the next few weeks, seeing how this goes. If we do start to book, if the behavior starts to shift, I'll be very quick to point that out. On that note, ladies and gents, I want to wish you a fantastic day, and if it's trending, I'll be there. Just a reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you want to stay abreast of what's happening in the market, I'll be producing and bringing you the latest in the markets every morning in a freshly produced video.